All right, well, first I want to thank the Van team, especially Tom for giving me the opportunity to serve and to hopefully add some value with my experience and where I come from. And I want to start off by a short introduction about my life and my story, because I think is very important as far as who I've become. And the name of the talk for me, it's Growth Through Leadership. And it's basically how to attract and how to retain top talent. You know, kudos to Adam, great presentation on people, which is, for me, my passion, helping people, developing people, growing with people. And Adam has the tools that you need to be able to get those people in and analyze and do all the data and figure out who to bring in. But what happens when they're there? You know, what happens when you do attract those people and you have them on your team? And now you're responsible for the development, the coaching, and the leadership that comes with having those people. A little bit about myself. Born and raised in Queens, New York. So anybody here from New York? Nobody, okay? Oh yeah, nobody. It's like it was the first time I've been in a room with nobody from New York. Well, it's in my blood. I represent Queens to the fullest. I am a Queens kid, just trying to make it. You know, my parents immigrated from the Dominican Republic, so I'm Hispanic. I'm from a Dominican descent. I speak fluent both English and Spanish. My story actually begins with the struggle that my parents had of leaving, you know, their country, their people, their culture behind, you know, in the earlier mid-70s, to come to America in search of the American dream, in hopes of having a better opportunity, in hopes of being able to have more opportunities for the kids. You know, I'm one of 5, so it's a rather large family. And, you know, we grew up with, you know, I would say humble beginnings, but we grew up broke. You know, it was tough times, you know, on welfare. I've experienced collecting cans and going over to the corner supermarket and exchanging cans for 5 cents to be able to raise up enough money to go buy some shoes for school. That's where I've come from. So to be where I'm at today is a long shot. To be where I'm at today, I mean, it's all a product of my decisions, my choices, and the way that I choose to live my life. And hopefully with some of the things that I'm gonna go over, you can take some of this stuff back to your showrooms or to your dealerships or to your businesses or maybe even your families and instill some of those things that I've learned and have helped me get to where I'm at today. I started in the car business in 2003, late 2003. I was 20 years young. My background is in the restaurant business. My parents own a couple restaurants. I'm talking about mom and pop, small, tiny restaurants. And after they, you know, saved up enough money, borrowed up enough money, they were able to get this small. I'm talking about, when I say small, it seat 8 people. There was 1 table for 4, and then 4 people at a counter. That's it. Total employees, 4. My mom, my dad, my older brother, myself. And after a while, we were able to get 1 employee and pay 1 employee, and then that started growing and growing and growing. And now they're up to 3 restaurants. And a lot of the foundations in business I learned from that small mom and pop restaurant. Some of the ways that I manage people, some of the ways that I lead people, I learned from my parents and that small little restaurant where you treat your people and your employees like family. And that's huge for me. It's a very, very big deal. True to Dominican descent or Hispanic descent, I mean, I know we're known for the food. We eat a lot, as you can tell. And my mom is an incredible cook. She's an incredible cook, and there was one of my favorite dishes that she would make. It's called Asopao. Is there anybody who speaks Spanish? Anybody? Okay, one? Okay, so we got one. So this dish is called Asopao, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because the name of my talk is Leadership Asopao. And what it is like a gumbo. So you take this big cauldron, a big pot, and sometimes it felt like you just take whatever's there and throw it in there, and it just comes out amazing. It just comes out amazing, and the different tastes that you're experiencing, you're just loving it. I mean, maybe it's because my mom made it, but it was just absolutely amazing. And for me, in my experience, I created what I call a leadership Asopao where I take the people these are the top influencers in my life. And I know there's a couple of people that are not on there, but I didn't want to fill this up with 100 or some odd people. And I'll go over these, and I'll try and see if I can say something about each one of these people. So we got Zig Ziglar. For him, I learned, to reach for the top, and if you get rid of that stinking thinking and worry about that attitude, which Adam was talking about. With John Maxwell, the 5 levels of leadership, if you guys are aware of that, it's super, super important, and how to be able to accept responsibility and understand that you are a coach. We got next John Wooden. John Wooden, the success pyramid, which is second to none. And one of my favorite quotes from John Wooden is, if you focus your attention on things you can't control, it's going to have a negative impact on the things you can control. So you'll notice that most of the way I manage and most of the things that I say, I'm accountable. I accept responsibility 100% for the things that are within my control. I don't focus on the weather. I can't control the weather. Well, actually, I did. I moved from New York to Florida, so. We got Eric Thomas, where he says, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. And that's when you're in the showroom and it's all nice. We come and we have this beautiful summit and we take notes. I'm up to like 6 or 7 pages of notes. And then you get back to your showroom and you do nothing with it. That's, you want to be a beast, but do you go back and do you take the stuff that you learned and implement it? Do you hold your people accountable? Do you work on yourself to make sure that you get yourself to the next level? We got Jim Rohn. Oh my goodness, Jim Rohn. I mean, Jim Rohn he's like at the cornerstone of my direction and my philosophies and the way I think. And with Jim Rohn, I learned how to accept the seasons. Accept the seasons that, just about every single year, winter's coming. Why not prepare for it? And in this business that we are, where it's seasonal, and there's up, down, quarters that are good, quarters that are bad, months that are great, months that are bad, but it's going to be about the same as it was the previous years and the years that are coming. So accept that and be able to move forward with that stuff. Jack Welch, you need to be candid in the workplace. You need to be candid. You need to have that openness with your team where you're able to have that open conversation and say, you know what, I expected more from you, or you're doing poor in this particular title or role in your job. I think you could do a better job at this. And if somebody just plain doesn't work out, pull that weed, because the weed will take over your garden. Weed will take over your garden. You got Les Brown. Man, I've had ups and I've had downs. I've fallen down, and he says, if you fall on your back, make sure you land. If you fall, make sure you land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Absolutely, 100%. Les Brown. We got Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker, the effective executive, and he says that an effective executive makes sure that the right things get done. We have Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. Make sure that every single morning when you wake up, you take care of the stuff that you need to take care of. All of us are leaders. All of us are in business where you have to be a self-starter. You have to be self-motivated. You have to get yourself up and running on a day-to-day basis. And when you get up and you have that difficult, we're all human. Somebody wakes up and you don't want to go to work. You don't want to get on 14 different conference calls and meetings and go over all these details. But you got to get up, you got to be that self-starter. We have Anthony Robbins, who I am an absolute super fan of his. I've had an opportunity to visit and be a part of a small group of people, which is completely different. Now he's filling up stadiums with 10, 15, 20,000 people. But I was able to go visit and do the actual business mastery in Fiji, where there was a group of maybe 40, 45 people at most. And with Anthony Robbins, I learned, you got to set a new standard and step up. Not only set the new standard for yourself, but then step up to it. Own it and be that person. We have Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, who he has a great video, Do Right, whereas do the best you can, do the right thing, and treat others the way you want to be treated. Absolutely. We have Brian Benstock, my absolute mentor. He's been my coach for the last 14 years, and he's still my coach. We still have a great relationship. We parted ways after I was at Paragon for a little over 13 years, and he's 100% supportive and an absolute mentor. And with him, I learned he has this story that he just keeps saying, and he drills and drills and drills. It's called Acres of Diamonds. And it's always very important to look right underneath your feet to see where those diamonds are before you start venturing out and let me go get another store and let me go get another business opportunity. Let me just go find other people and just keep going through people like they're disposable. Meanwhile, you can look right underneath your feet and see the diamonds that are actually there. Then we have Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer is an absolute influence for me. One of the things that resonates the most for me, and one of the things I'm asking for you guys to have as part of my presentation is have a mind that's open to everything and attached to nothing. So don't attach yourself to the way you currently do business. Don't attach yourself to your current management style. Don't attach yourself to the way you feel you were taught and that's what works. You know, have a mind that's attached to nothing. Be open. Just be open to the things that I'm going to be saying. Then we have Brendan Burchard, who taught me how to embrace my story. Every single one of us in here has a story. Every single one of us here has a struggle. Every single one of us here has something that they can share and relate to with someone else. So when I do a lot of my sales training, when I do a lot of coaching with people, I teach them on how to embrace their story and use it to relate to customers and be able to get along with them on a completely different level, where you're not just trying to sell them a car or a commodity. You're relating to them and understanding and listening to their story and sharing your stories. You just have a completely different level of connection. We have Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm sure probably every business person reads it. I think it's mandatory to read it in any school now. Super important. Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra told me how to look within, and really he's much more into meditation and being able to have a different level of consciousness and a different idea and perception of how the world exists, and be able to let go of that ego that exists so much, especially in the car business. Let go of that ego and start doing things from a completely different perspective, where you're not asking, gimme. You're more, what can I give? How can I serve? How can I add value? You know, even though here I came and my intention was to give. I feel truly blessed because I've been able to receive like 5 or 6 pages of notes. And we're half. I'm the third person to speak. I'm so excited about everything that's coming. We have Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. One of the most important books, especially if you're dealing with people, that you must read. You must read, and how to understand what people's number one need is. And from that book, most important, if you get nothing other than the people's number one basic need is the need to feel important. And when you're managing or you're coaching or you're talking to somebody, ask yourself that. How am I making this person feel important? And if you're not doing so, you need to correct it. And then Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I think everybody in here has either read or heard about that book. Is aside from the Bible, it's the book that's been most published. And from there, what I got is observation, imitation, repetition, which is the formula for success. There is a formula for success. You copy somebody that's doing something that you already that you want. They're living that lifestyle. They're living in the home that you want. They have that sense of fulfillment and happiness and joy. And copy what they do on a day-to-day basis, and you'll get the similar result. You know, there's people, same thing, you got a salesperson, just shadow that salesperson. Now, why do we get a brand new green pea to shadow the top performer? Because intrinsically, you know, it's like, hey, just do what he does, and you'll be okay. Just do what he does, and you'll be okay. So with all of these together, I got the leadership Asopao, which for me, there is 10, but these cut off. And I'll go over them. But before I move on to this, I want to share a story, and I want to share a story because I feel like a lot of you can relate to it, or can relate to why we're here. And I got to read it because I haven't memorized it. It's an autobiography by Portia Nelson. Portia Nelson is an author, a songwriter, and she went to a seminar or a workshop, and they had her write an autobiography of her life. But the secret was that you needed to write it in a 5x8 index card, and you needed to keep it as short as possible. Imagine having to write an autobiography of your life. And it goes a little like this. Chapter 1 of my life. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I'm hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2 of my life. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. Chapter 3 of my life. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it. It's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. And chapter 5. Finally, I walk down another street. I thought that this is so profound, especially with our business, where we keep doing the same stuff over and over again, and we make the business such a grind. It doesn't need to be like that. This could be a fun business. You can enjoy yourselves. You can have fun. You can attract people into your business, like Adam was talking about with millennials. You know, I pay close attention when people start speaking about millennials, because I'm 33, I'm a millennial. You know, and there was this gentleman that I heard speak, Jason Dorsey, who finally validated or gave me vindication for how I live my life. Because I'm in the complete opposite of what a millennial is supposed to be. A millennial is the person who doesn't want to work, wants everything to be given to them, entitlement mentality, you know, and wants that work-life balance, where for me, life is work, work is life. It's one thing, it's just one, you know, and have that desire to be successful and get to another level, and then the next level, and then the next level. Whereas millennials don't aspire to that. It's like, this is enough, as you know, money's not everything. And Jason Dorsey said that there's two types of millennials, and where they're breaking apart. And that study is coming out now when people are getting into their 30s, where now they're you know, what do they call them? Those kids that they go out to school and then they end up coming right back home. Those, what is it? No, boomerang kids. Yeah, where they go to school. You know, I'm gonna get an education. I'm gonna use it to get into the workforce, and then they just end up right back in their mom's basement. You know, and they're in their 30s. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that, but maybe there's more there. Maybe there's more there. So going into the leadership Asopao, which is, keep in mind, this big cauldron of stuff together that we have together here. Number one is accept responsibility. In order to attract and retain people that are top talent, that are going to work for you like nobody else is going to work for you. I'm talking about, these are soldiers. They'll run through a brick wall for you. You got to accept responsibility. And there's a book by a couple of Navy SEALs who is called Extreme Ownership, where they talk about the importance for the platoon, for the team, to see you to accept responsibility. A salesperson fails, it's not the salesperson's fault, it's my fault. Or we didn't hit our numbers, it's my fault. Customers upset, my fault. We got a bad review, my fault. I accept responsibility as the leader of the store, as the leader of the team. I need to be able to accept responsibility for everything that happens. Not some of the things that I like. We had a great record month. That's me. You missed it. Oh, it says salespeople don't know what they're doing. And I've experienced that in management way too often. Way too often. Not this group. This group is good. It's a good group. Everybody. Reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. If you're planting orange seeds, you're not going to get an apple tree. I mean, as basic and simple as that is so profound. We want salespeople, we want managers to be leaders, to be accountable, to be respected, to have a level of communication that for you is above standard. Meanwhile, you're not planting those seeds. So how do you expect to get that? How do you expect to get a person that's a world beater, that's, you know, is super competitive and wants to drive and hit that number, hit that target? You give them a number, they're like, oh, I'm gonna chase it, I'm gonna get it, yeah. But you're not planting those seeds early on and slowly getting those people to be at that level. You reap what you sow. You can't give away what you don't have. You can't give away what you don't have. You know, and so many people, I was never a rock star salesperson. never. But I've had rock star salespeople. I never did 30, 35 cars. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean I can't have somebody who's 30, 35 car salesperson, because that's not what it takes. It's the quality of the person. And when you're developing that person, and I honestly believe that the number one responsibility of a manager, the number one responsibility of a leader, and if you get nothing else from my talk, is just that engrave it into your skull when you get back that your responsibility, your manager's responsibility, everybody's responsibility in the organization is to develop people in every position. Wherever you are, how do you help them get to the next level? And when they're at that next level, what's your game plan and how are you going to grow to be able to get them to that level? Which that causes you to have to go out and search for information, constantly get better, constantly improve your game, constantly stay, on the edge. I work for Paragon Honda, and anybody who's familiar with Paragon Honda, just a quick little, sum up, because we used to do anywhere between 1,000 and 1,100 cars a month, every single month. And right before I left, out of the last 16 months of my career there, 13 were all-time record months. All-time record months. I'm talking about record month, record month, record month, record month. And that came at a period right after I cut the hours, for management, for finance, for salespeople, for everybody. I cut the hours. I made it a much happier work environment. The culture of the place was as vibrant as it can be. And how does that happen? It's speed of the boss is speed of the boat. Just what's your speed? Where are you at? Where are you at? So when I say you can't give away what you don't have, if I don't have that energy, if I don't have the drive, if I don't have the enthusiasm, I'm not going to give it to you. That person is not going to receive. That person is not going to get it. That person is not going to experience that other level that's out there. And it is out there. It is out there. Energize. Energize. It's your responsibility to provide a vision. This is where we are. This is where we're headed. We're going to go there, and this is how we're going to get there. So provide a vision and direction. When you provide a vision, direction, it needs to be super, super clear. You don't just set goals just for the sake of saying it was the first day of the month or the first couple of days of the month. We had a meeting. We set goals. Okay, great. We'll check back again 30 days later to see what happened. And then when 30 days later comes, you missed it and you don't understand why. Well, did you give direction? Not necessarily direction, which is this is where we're going. Direction on specific steps. This is what we're going to do. This is where we are. We've done this in the past. You need to energize them and get them motivated, get them excited about what it is that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. Get those people to believe in your cause, to believe in your goal, to believe in what it is that you're looking to attain. And that's not only a sales number. That's not only a sales number. That has a lot to do with what you stand for an organization. My whole business, I'm opening up a Green Acres Nissan in Palm Beach, and the whole business is all mapped around add value. That's it. I don't need a page. This is what we stand for. This is what we do. Add value. That's it. I'm having a conversation with a salesperson. You just interacted with this customer. How did you add value? Got a BDC rep, took a phone call, set an appointment. How did you add value? Have a service advisor, had somebody come in and get an oil change. How did you add value? And have that permeate and make it so simple that everybody's responsibility and they feel it in their core that they're adding value. Now that's not just externally. I'm going to hold my managers accountable to that. You got this salesperson that came in. He's been working with you for 60 days. Specifically, tell me how you added value to this person's life. You have a salesperson that's interacting with either BDC or porters. It doesn't matter. How did you add value? How did you add value? It's your responsibility to cast that vision and have that direction. I was at the point at the store where the biller in the back office knew what our sales target was. The service advisors, the service director would ask me, how are we doing with that goal? The porters that wash cars knew what our sales target was for that month. If you don't have that level of congruency, if you don't have that level of interdepartmental collaboration one with another, if you still have a dealership that has these silos, man, that doesn't work. You got to break down those walls. Break down those walls and have everybody. You're a GM, you're an owner, you're an operator. Your responsibility is to bring the store together to the common goal as a team. And when they see that, they respect it and they want to stay there because they feel they belong to something. In order for people to feel like you care, I don't have any groundbreaking stuff here. But in order for people to feel like you care, you really need to care. Profound knowledge. You really need to care. I've encountered people that get into the business who don't like working with people. What? Well, you're at the wrong spot, buddy. This is not going to work out for you. Because the one thing that I guarantee you're going to deal with is people. Whether it's in the store or in your life, you need to care. And I know there's a lot of stuff that's hardwired. There's a lot of things that you can't necessarily change or move around. But you need to care. It's very, very, very important. Now, how do you do that? I've been advised by people in my past. You don't get too close to that person. You can't have that kind of relationship. You got to keep it strictly business. And it's like, well, that doesn't work for me because I actually care whether his daughter or his wife or he has a problem or he has a celebration or I made him work at the end of the month and I made him miss a baptism or just hanging out with his mom. Those things matter. Those things matter. And you need to care. You need to have that personal relationship with people. And I know depending on the magnitude, on the size of the store, that it's difficult. Well, I had a staff of, I think it was 65 salespeople. I have 10 sales managers. I had 11 finance managers. And that's just the sales staff, not including BDC, not including service, not including anything else. It was a staff of 250, 260 people. And I was able to have that level of relationship with those people. So if I can do it, you can do it. So there's no excuse. But the question you need to ask yourself is, do you care? And if you sit down with somebody and say, hey, how was your weekend? Oh, it was great, thanks. How was yours? Awesome. All right. And you just keep moving. Don't even have that conversation. It was like, what you do? Hey, I heard it's your daughter's second birthday. And I saw some pictures on either social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I saw it. It looked like you had a good time. How was it? Tell me about it. And care. Be there. Be there. It's not about sitting down and saying, or the only conversations you have is when you have that daily one-on-one. How many calls did you make? Did you follow up with this customer? Did you call them? Did you tell them about the survey? Did you ask for referrals? What you got planned out for today? How many appointments you have? Did you confirm them? I was like, who's coming in? And how many cars you got for the month? What are you tracking? How much gross you have? What are you tracking? All right, great, thanks. Next. And treat them like they're just a number, like it's just a person they're a person contributing to not only the business, but to your life. Isn't that what we depend on? People. It's people in process. Here, I put here Teddy so I can remember. It's another story that I'm going to read. I like stories. I like reading. This story is called the Teddy story. And I got this, it was passed along to me by the late Dr. Wayne Dyer. There's a story from many years ago of a primary school teacher. Her name was Mrs. Thompson. And as she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved all of them the same. But that was impossible because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with other children, that his clothes were messy and that he constantly needed a bath. And Teddy, he could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen, making bold X's, and then putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does work neatly and has good manners. He is a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother has terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle." His 3rd grade teacher wrote, "Except for Teddy's, his present was clumsily wrapped in a heavily brown paper bag he got from the grocery store." Mrs. Thompson took pains to open in the middle of class with other presents. Some of the children started laughing when she found the rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle that was a quarter full of perfume. But she stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed after school that day long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, Today you smell just like my mom used to. After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On that very day, she quit teaching reading. She quit teaching reading and writing and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class. And despite her lie that she would love all the children the same, Teddy became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy, telling her that she was still the best teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He wrote that he had finished high school, third in his class, and she was still the best teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 4 years after that, she got another note saying that while things had been tough at times, he'd stay in school and stuck with it, and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he had ever had in his whole life. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still the best and most favorite teacher he had ever had, but now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, MD. The story doesn't end there, you see. There was yet another letter that spring. Teddy said he'd met this girl and he was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit in place at the wedding that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did. And guess what? She wore the bracelet, the one with the several rhinestones missing, and she made sure that she was wearing that perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." To me, that's such a profound story. And the reason it's profound is because I take my job seriously. I'm passionate about what I do. And I've met people, and this is where the hierology technology, sometimes you need to use your gut. Use that stuff, it's very important. But I've met people that were out selling drugs, not making enough money to get by, coming into the showroom with a car that doesn't go in reverse, only goes forward. You have to find a parking spot that you just park right in. And a few short years after that, to be a professional, to be a businessman, to make 6 figures, to be able to provide now for your family, and to move on into different positions and positions of leadership where that person's life and that person's career could have gone in a completely different direction. But luckily I was there. And instead of teaching sales, instead of teaching tactics, instead of teaching, this is how you do this and 46 different closes, show them how much I care about them and how much I believe in them. And show them that you can make a difference. So I encourage everybody in here, there's somebody in your store that you probably don't know, or that's having some difficulties, but you don't care enough to have that conversation. Hey, how's everything going with you? Maybe it's just, let's go have a beer. Just, some of the best moments that I've had with people has been having a beer, just me and him, or me and her. Just let's go. Listen, let's sit down. How's everything with your life? How's everything good? I see your sales drop down a little bit. That's an indicator that something's up. So I pay attention. Do you care enough to pay attention? Or do you just look at some tracking board where it shows where everybody's at? It's like, oh, you're my hero, you're a 0, you're my hero, you're a 0. And then that changes month in and month out. Don't do that. Use it or lose it. Comes with life, comes with everything. If you don't use the skills, if you don't use the talents that you're provided, you're going to lose it. If you don't use that opportunity that you have with those 10 hours in a day, the 12 hours in a day, you're going to lose it. You can't take, today's Tuesday? Today's Tuesday or Wednesday? You can't take Wednesday and say, you know what I'm going to take today? I'm just going to put it at the back of the month and use it afterwards. That doesn't happen. You need to use it now. Get your salespeople to understand that not only salespeople, sales managers, finance managers. Just I have a passion for salespeople because I think that there's so much more that we can do as an industry for them, you know, and being able to express to them how much you care about them, and going over some of the techniques, like, hey, remember that close that you used to use 2 years ago? Do you remember it? The word track? No. Why? You haven't used it. You forgot it. You don't use it, you lose it. That's very simple. You know, that goes with nutrition, that goes with health, that goes with your attitude. You take an inventory of how you are on an emotional level and on a mental state as well. Create ownership mindset. Creating an ownership mindset is, if I'm gonna have a team, I don't tell them this is what's gonna happen. We come up with a goal together, and then we go out and we hit that goal. So everybody is basically, they have their fingerprints all over it, and they take ownership of that. Walking around, if somebody has a messy desk, sit down with them and explain the importance of a messy desk and how it represents them, and how they should be able to take ownership of that, and take ownership of the store. Now, you're the owner, and you're walking around, you got one owner in the store trying to do 100 different things, versus 100 different people that have ownership in the store, and they see a piece of paper on the line, they pick it up. They see somebody park a car backwards, and you say, what are you doing? Don't do that. This is my lot. And have ownership for that. You know, and one of my, from JP Getty, you know, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people than 100% of one. And that's absolutely true, absolutely true. And number 8 and number 9 is people and process. I can't stress enough the importance of people and the importance of process. Something that speaks to that, and it's absolute vindication for me, where I had my fingers crossed, but at the same time, I felt like, you know, I was confident with it. I recently left Paragon, and when you're leaving a store, I don't know if anybody here has made that decision, when you're leaving a store that you actually care about. I wasn't in jeopardy of losing my job. I was doing fine, you know, but it was just fine, and I needed more. I need more. And the people that you care about, so many people, I had all sorts of responses. I had people that were upset. I had people that were happy. I had people that were sad. The people that were upset was like, I came here to work here because of you, and now you're leaving? You're abandoning me? I'm like, I'm not abandoning you. Oh my God, I didn't know you were going to take it that way. You know, I thought you were going to be moving on. There's more. I'm getting better. Don't you want to see me do more? It was like, you know, me at some time. Think about me. And some people were super happy. Some people were sad. You know, some people were super sad because they were like, well, it's the uncertainty that people don't like. What's going to happen next? And it felt so good being able to have a good bench. A good bench where you have the ability. This is the sales management team right before I left. And I'm super proud of all these guys and gal. I was like, everything's going to be okay. The floor's not going to fall out and the store's going to collapse. You know, I left I resigned in late April, and I left the second week of May. So naturally, there's that uncertainty, and there was a little bit of a dip in business. And I was like, man, that's not acceptable. I'm not there anymore, but that's not acceptable. And the person who took over is Ariel. Ariel is I know him since I was 13 or 14 years old. We went to high school together. We used to play football together. And after he graduated college, it took me 3 years to convince him to sell cars because I have a bachelor's degree. I can't sell cars. Ugh. I'm like, okay, great. I'm making a ton of money, and if you want, I'll coach you, and I'll get you to the point where you can do and say whatever you want. You know, write your check. And after 3 years of finally, you know, chasing him, he came on board, and after a short period of time, he was promoted to management. He was a top sales manager, where his team alone, and we have a team system. They have a team system where they have 6 to 8 salespeople on their team, and they're responsible, and they live and die with whatever happens to the productivity of that 6 to 8 people, because we have that your responsibility is to develop people mindset. And he took over as a GSM, and I am so proud to report that in June they had an all-time sales record month. And in July, that just closed, they had an all-time sales record month where the district, the zone, and the nation all had decreases. There was an increase in double digits. And there's some people that be like, but that means that, you know, you weren't relevant. What? That means that I was more than relevant. I did my duty, I did my job, and I prepared them for when I left. The store has not collapsed. The people did not leave. We have a person who's in charge that can lead the store. And that's what you want to have in your culture. That's what you want to have in your store. For the gentleman that was talking about, we have 8 stores and you change people around. You got to have that development mindset where the career path is, once you do a great job here, you get the opportunity to go to a different store. And you grow, and now you can lead your people and grow your people and have success in that store. And then you have everything coming off with the same culture, the same mindset. Every single person here was a salesperson on my team. Every single person. I don't hire managers from outside. And with the exception of maybe one, none of them had sales experience. 0. Because it doesn't matter. The quality that I look for is niceness. Are you nice? You know? If you're nice, then we can work on that. We can build on that. But if you're not nice, you've got 68 different closes and you're, ooh, world beater, great, congratulations. But you're not nice and nobody gets along with you. I don't need you in the store. I don't know how to, I can't teach nice. I can teach sales, but I can't teach nice. So it's very, very important. And so for me, leaving this magnificent group of individuals, and the average age is like probably similar, 26 to 28, and having to start all over, man, that's a challenge. First of all, I didn't need to. You know, it was a desire. I wanted to. Leaving New York to go to Florida, leaving Honda to go to Nissan, completely new environment. I've never started a store. I'm walking around, and the store's under construction, and I'm walking around acting like I know what I'm looking for. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know what I'm looking for. Yeah, is that supposed to be like that? Yeah, oh yeah, I was just double checking. And I'm walking around, I'm looking at stuff, and I'm literally trying to see if stuff lines up. I don't know what I'm doing, you know, but I know that my presence there and my interaction with the people that are working there makes a difference, you know. And for me, I think the most troubling part, or the most difficult part for me, although every single position that I'm interviewing to hire, I've done in the past, I've never done them all at the same time. And now the thing that I'm most conscious and paying most close attention to is the culture that I'm going to have in the store. But how do you know what the culture is going to be like if you're hiring, let's say, for example, a room, this is like 45, 50 people. So let's say, for example, this is the staff, and I haven't, although I've interviewed every single person, I don't know how you guys work together. Super difficult. How do you strategize and be able to say, this person's going to get along really well with this person? They're going to work great together. And you're just lining people up and being able to have that uncertainty of what's going to happen. But luckily for me, I spent my time developing people. So when I made those phone calls to a few people, hey, I got an opportunity. I'm going to be a partner in the store. I hit the lotto. I got drafted. I just got drafted. It's like I'm American dream. My parents came here with $500 in a bag, broke. And now I get the opportunity to be a partner at a multi-million-dollar store. What? And I'm having these conversations, and Michael Furman, who's one of the people that's here, worked with me as a salesperson on my team. And although we battled more than anybody else in meetings and stuff, and we just disagreed on so many things, he was one of the people that I called, and he said, tell me when and where you need me. Tell me what you need me to do. And that was the case with 10 other people. I have 11 people that are relocating themselves, their families, their wives have to find new jobs. Their kids have to go to new schools to come and work at Green Acres Nissan and move. I mean, granted, it's not like, you know, in Alaska, it's in Palm Beach. So it makes the sale a little bit easier. You know, hey, you want to come to paradise and, you know, work at a store? But I didn't realize that I had that depth of connection and that influence with people, that they were willing to leave their positions. He's working at Kendall Toyota, which has they do about 1,100 cars a month. One of the top finance managers, PVR. I'll compare with anybody in anybody's store in the country. Rockstar. And I said, hey, listen, I got an opportunity for a store. I don't even know what to do with it. Should I take it? I mean, what do I do? What do I do? He's like, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Call another person, and I was able to reassemble people that at one point were salespeople or that worked with me at some point, and they just outgrew the store and went to different stores and started doing different things, you know, general sales managers, finance directors, sales managers, whatever. And to be able to line up and say, you know what, Jay, I got your back. And so my old team, you know, right next to the new team, and don't be afraid to start. This was Within 30 days of me getting to Florida, I already had 40 to 45% of the people assembled that were going to represent the management staff and that were going to represent the influencers within the store. So the leadership team is already built, is already assembled. And everybody has told me, I was like, hey, just focus on people. I was like, that's going to be the most difficult. What? It was easy. Just a couple phone calls. A couple texts. So I'll be there. And the only thing I guaranteed all these people was that they're going to make less money. That's the only thing I said. You see, like you like that plug. That's the only thing that everybody understands. You're going to make less money, but we're going to grow together. So it's not about the money, one per se. It's about the growth. What can you offer them? Hey, you have a unique opportunity to start a dealership from the ground up. It's a beautiful facility. It's under construction. It's scheduled to open within 30 days from today. You have the ability to help me do this, and you take ownership in this. Now my role changes from where I was a sales manager developing salespeople to where I was a general sales manager developing sales managers. So now I'm an owner where my responsibility is to create other owners. And that's the commitment that I made to those people that are coming with me. I said, give me a few years, and I'm gonna treat everybody like owners. I'm not gonna keep them in the dark and not give them any information. I don't like that. I don't like that style of management. Give them all the information and empower them, believe in them, and let them know that they have the opportunity to do whatever it is that they want to do. Believe in the dream. All right, so a huge shout out to Michael Furman, and he's here as a finance director at a VAN, which is vehicle acquisitions, that has nothing to do with one another. But I don't believe in walls in a dealership. One of the things that we were talking about yesterday, the finance department is going to be the ones that teaches the service advisors how to sell cars. How to sell ROs and how to sell warranties and how to sell service. Which, who does that in the car business? Those are the two most disconnected positions. Meanwhile, they affect each other significantly. When a customer comes in and they have a service contract and they go and they have a large RO and the service advisor says, no, that's not covered. Sorry. And then what do? They call the finance manager and say, I'm going to cancel this. But why not connect them? Let them help one another. So huge thank you to Michael Furman. Huge thank you to Tom Gregg. That's what I got. That's my name, my information. Hopefully I was able to add value. Hopefully I was able to contribute to this summit. And if you guys have any questions or anything you want to approach me, or if you know of anybody that's looking for a job in Palm Beach, send them over my way, because I spend most of my days just doing interviews. How about this? And I'm seeing how long I can drag this out. The people that are coming with me, not one person has a pay plan. They don't know how they're going to get paid or what they're going to get paid. They've already relocated. He already moved. They've already moved themselves. They got schooling for their kids. Does your management team have that level of influence over people that they can say, leave your job, move, take your kids out of school, go somewhere else, and they have no clue how they're going to get paid? But they know I'm not going to screw them over. They have faith. They have trust that I'm going to take care of them. And I will, without a doubt.